right, great. We are live on our YouTube channel / Funworks Media. We were having some technical glitches. This is Noman Nasrullah. I'm joining you from the Funworks base in Dubai, and I have Moustafa Hamwi with me, the passionpreneur, joining right from Australia. Mustafa, it must be really late in the night for you. Thank you for accommodating for us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Noman, for this great opportunity, and looking forward to speaking to you and to your listeners.
Which part of Australia are you in right now?
I am in Melbourne, Victoria.
All right, great. So, people who are logged in, I'm sure you know Mustafa. In case you don't, you can Google passionpreneur, and then you'll know exactly who he is. His name is synonymous with the word passion guy, passionpreneur. He was very successful, took a one-way ticket to India because he was not feeling fulfilled, and he come back a completely different guy. Mustafa, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to just give a very quick snapshot of who you are, because I'm sure you'll do much more justice to yourself than I would do to you.
Thank you very much for this great intro, but if you want me to summarize, I basically been in Dubai since 2000. I used to be in events and entertainment and media business. You can imagine how that lifestyle left me. Basically, yes, on one side it was fun for a while, but after that became very draining and very unfulfilling. So I got fed up with that lifestyle, bought a one-way ticket to India, went on a transformational journey. I met a Swami who's been in caves for 13 years. I had a medical situation that I had to deal with, and all of these reflections made me get a lot of realization. I went in 2012, came back 2013. And when I came back, I told my story, which was called Cavalli to Manali. So that's the story of me leaving that Cavalli lifestyle that we were involved with and going to India in Manali, where I met my Swami. And I did the talk when I came back from India. A few months later, I'm sitting in a cafe. I was in Media One Hotel, actually. And a random person passing by goes, "Hey, you're that speaker guy." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You did your talk about India?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You changed my life." I was like, wow. So, and that was an aha moment for me to realize that I want, I have something to offer. If I could change someone's life that I didn't know just by me sharing my story about India, then I definitely want to be in the business of helping people and changing people's lives. So I left whatever work that I had then, and 2014 I started full-time speaking, about my story and starting to develop the niche of passion. But for some reason, I wasn't getting the success that I was expecting. Somebody says you changed my life, you know that you're genuine, you're offering value. I invested a lot into my coaching and studying and certification, but I would see other people that potentially could be maybe not on the same level, or have not invested as much as I invested into my journey and into my skill set of coaching and speaking. And then it dawned on me that there's a formula to really get the success that you want in life. And that formula says it's not how good you are. It's who knows how good you are. It's not how good you are, it's who knows how good you are. And that formula is really where it made me realize that I have to bring in some form of authority into my skill. And that made me ask around. So I was still dealing with, different people. And back then it was Dr. Brian Tracy that I interviewed on my show. And he said, if you really want to accelerate your brand, you have to write a book. And Dr. Marshall Goldsmith told me the same. And this is really how I realized that author equals authority. So if you really want to bring your authority into this world to spread your message and really dominate your market niche, you have to be able to produce a piece of content that you put your name on, and that becomes your book, and you become an international author.
That's interesting. You've very simply explained your journey, but for my viewers, you're part of the top 100 coaches. You've been personally coached by Marshall Goldsmith. You've authored a book with Brian Tracy, as you said,
Yeah.
and you're an authority on passion. Um, and there's something really interesting that I've read and whilst talking to you, where you say passion is not about happiness. Passion is about fulfillment. Before we really get into the 5 steps of becoming an international author, shed some light on this. How is passion about fulfillment? We look for happiness and we say, I'm not passionate, I'm not happy. But you talk about passion, not really about happiness, but being about fulfillment.
So basically, there's a huge difference between being passionate and fulfilled and being happy.
Mm-hmm.
I tell people to forget about pursuing happiness,
Right.
because happiness is something that you give to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It is not something that you should be searching for, because happiness is tied to momentarily pleasures
Mm-hmm.
and desires. Because when you have a desire and you fulfill the desire, then you actually end up so actually, if you have a desire and you actually just satisfy that desire, you end up becoming happy. But what happens is, soon enough, that drops and we go into, oh, I need another desire to fulfill.
Right.
Yeah. And versus fulfillment is when you fulfill your mission,
Mm-hmm.
you end up becoming fulfilled. And when you are fulfilled, then you actually end up, having more fulfillment. And the more fulfilled you are, the more you fulfill your mission. And so it goes on.
Interesting. So let's talk about the writing and then being an author. And as you said, author is authority. So
Yeah.
what made you start the Passionpreneur Publishing?
Passionpreneur Publishing started with me basically when a friend of mine, who is also a known person in his field, started asking me to help him write with the publishing, actually, of his book. And I sent him to a traditional publisher, and he came back a few months later and he said, no one is helping me properly, because it doesn't seem anybody has the passion for their book.
Mm-hmm.
And that naturally made me want to help him. And because of that, I ended up really working on helping him by outsourcing, and that outsourcing ended up becoming a full operation. And we started with one author, we became 15 authors, 30 authors, and we just hit 50 authors in less than 2 years, which was February, just a couple of months ago.
Great. So let's get into the blueprint of becoming an author. And whilst we were discussing about this talk, you said that you don't even have to type a single word. And then, yeah, how does that work?
Okay, so I want to start talking about, my question is, how serious is everybody listening to this show about writing and publishing their book? And that includes you, Noman, okay? So how serious, on a scale from 1 to 10, how serious are you on a scale from 1 to 10, trying to say, I'm interested, or am I committed to writing and publishing a book? That's a huge difference. If you're interested, lots of people are interested in succeeding, but not many people succeed. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's number one. Before I even start telling you the roadmap, because for everybody listening to me to benefit from the roadmap, I need everybody to be 100% focused, number one, because if you're not present and you're not here, you're really not doing yourself service, or not doing anybody else around you a service. And this applies to everybody on the call, including you, by the way. So that means 100% attention on the following 5 steps, nothing else. Please, guys, if you want to benefit, you need to be present. All right. So the way this, and no matter what challenge you have, I promise you that before the end of this call, I will tackle those challenges for you, if you stick with me 100%. Okay. And then I will also show you the way for you to write and publish the book And I will, Noman, may I suggest something? Can you put me on full screen and take yourself off camera? Might be a bit better because it's very distracting what's happening now.
Here we go. Better?
I don't know. I still see both views here.
For me, I've done the speaker view, and for our audience, it's just you. So you might want to do the speaker view also, and that's how it's gonna come probably.
All right, so let's do speaker view. Yeah, but it's showing you as a speaker, so you need to pin me.
There we go.
I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask whatever is happening around you, maybe stop fully, please, because I can see you full screen now. I know we're live, but I'm sorry, I'm unable to focus like this.
Here we go. You're pinned now. I've just pinned you, and maybe you might want to pin yourself.
Different. No, that's not okay. No worries. So basically, here's the thing. The way the roadmap works is as follows. There are 5 key milestones or steps that you have to tackle on your journey of becoming an international author. And that starts by you knowing the #1 reason to write and publish your book. Okay. And I promise you that's not about book sales. Second thing I'm going to share with you is 2 steps to beat procrastination. Okay. So really to know what is holding you back and how to overcome it. Then we're going to talk about 3 things that you need to think about before you start. And the thought process that has been preventing you from, getting to where you want to be as an author. #4, we're going to talk about 4 steps to help you finish writing your book in a weekend. And #5, we're going to talk about publishing. All right. So let's start basically with the #1 reason why you want to write and publish your book. And no, I promise you, it's not about book sales. What you really need to understand that most people do not make any significant money writing books. And chances are you won't be part of that 1% that makes it, at least not in the early years of your writing career. And in that instance, the questions become, why should you even bother writing a book? The good news is there's a lot of other ways to monetize your book. So if you want to know that, okay, I will tell it to you in 1 sentence. Author equals authority. I don't need to say any more than this. When you know that a book makes you an authority, and the word authority came from the word author, you would understand the value of writing and publishing a book. And simply said, books get you attention, attention gets you business. So if you're looking to become an authority in your field, you want to attract clients that you like, you want to share your story and build your legacy, or launch a speaking and a coaching and a consulting career, the book is that best way for you to ever do that. Is that a good enough reason?
That is. Okay. And as you said, 0 on interested and 10 on committed. I think if somebody is really, really committed to becoming an authority, then only they will become an authority. Somebody who's just interested in becoming an authority, probably they won't.
Because somebody who is genuinely committed is going to overtake somebody who's interested. So naturally, anybody who's in the interested space is not going to go very far.
Great. And you've laid out very, very simple 5 steps. Let's quickly get into the first step.
Well, we just shared the first step. you have to know. This is why I said, guys, everybody has to be so focused, focus on attention. Mind cannot tackle. Forget whoever told you can multitask to any you or the listeners. It does not work, guys. Unless you have 100% focus on attention, you missed out the first step already. The first step was to know why you should write the book.
Why you should write, yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I gave you guys those 5, reasons, that the key reasons that you should think. The 4, 5, 6, you have as many as possible. You can categorize them as much as you want, but what's important is you understand it's all about becoming an authority.
Right.
The second thing, we have a 2-step process why most people do not start nor finish writing their books. Okay. #1 is that they are overloaded and do not have time.
Right.
#2 is they do not have the money right now. Number three is that they are confused about the writing and publishing process.
Okay.
#4 is they are not sure if they have the right content. And number 5 is they will do it tomorrow. And all of these are called what?
Procrastination.
They're called excuses.
Excuses.
They're called excuses.
Yeah.
Because the solution is as follows. If someone says, I'm overloaded and don't have time, the antidote to that is simply focus. See, funny enough, I told you focus. Focus, everybody has 24 hours. It's the quality of focus that's messing up things for people. Number 2, people that say, I don't have money, I'll tell you that successful entrepreneurs think, how can I get return on investment? They don't think about expenses, they think about investment. And we can show you that investing in a book can simply help you make return on investment. How much, let's put it this way, how much would you aspire for your speaking fees to be?
Sky is the limit.
Yeah, but if you would put a rate, what would that figure be for you or for anybody else who's listening? How much would you like your consulting fees to be? You know, if you'd like to start playing on an international scale, the minute you start playing on that field, you're easily at $10,000.
$10,000, that's right.
So really, if you just get your book out and just get a couple of gigs in a few months from publishing the book, you would have already made back your money. The issue is most people talk about becoming international, but not many of them are willing to take the responsibility to make it happen. 3 is that one is confused about the writing and publishing process. Okay. And the simple answer to that is, don't worry, that is our job, not your job. It's not your job to worry about the writing and publishing process. Of course, if you want to go and do it yourself, I'm going to share with you, in this system, how to write and publish by yourself, but you could simply come to us and we would help handhold you throughout the whole process. Number 4 is that you're not sure if you have the right content. And that's the majority of people who have not been writing and publishing their book. They know they have a lot of knowledge, but they're not sure they have the right content. My answer to them is simple. Seriously, it's time to believe in yourself. All you need is about 4 to 6 hours of content to produce a book of 150 to 200 pages.
Interesting.
And when people, the last excuse we hear is, I'll do it tomorrow. And my question is simply, how long have you been saying tomorrow? It's now or never. It's that simple. So those are all excuses. So the second step is simply get over your excuse. And my question is, what's your excuse now? I gave you the top 5, and I could promise you every excuse one will come up with is only an excuse. So guys, beat the procrastination and get over it.
Right. So it would be excuse on top of excuse. It's not money. It's not the cost. It's the investment. It's just 2 gigs once you become an authority. It's not about the content only. The content is in there. You just need to bring it out. You just need to have that confidence. And then time, as you said, yes, you will never have time. If you're committed, you would make time. So the first step is know very, very clearly what your why is. I'm focusing now. The second step is get beyond your excuses, the 5 excuses that you spoke about. And you gave a very clear plan of how we should not be worried about publishing. And I believe by the end of this call, you were given a link by which people can get in touch and then also understand the publishing business in much more detail. So get beyond your excuses. Now let's move on to the third step of the blueprint. What is that?
The third thing is, I say 3 things to think about before you start. This thought process will help prevent your project from hitting a dead end halfway through, which is what happened to a lot of people. They start but never finish. I'm sure there's a lot of people who started writing a book, but very small amount of people can finish writing the book. And the simplest thing to do is you first got to ask yourself, what is your primary goal from publishing a book? Which I had already highlighted for you. I mentioned to you guys all of those key goals, at least. The next thing is you gotta come up with a book topic, with an ideal book topic. And an ideal book topic is an overlap of 3 questions. The first question is, what are you passionate about? The second question is, what are you good at? And the third question is, what has market? So what are you passionate about? What you love and value? What are you good at that you have a great skill, talent, and knowledge to help people with? And what has market? So what people want, need, and are willing to pay you money for. So once you find the intersection of those 3 points, and by the way, guys, you don't actually need to write all of this now. I'm gonna put a link up. I'll give a link up to Noman, and he will put it where you can download this document, okay? And when you find the intersection between what you love, what you're good at, and what has market, you would have found that golden niche that you should write your book about. After that, there's a book concept sheet that I'm going to share in the PDF, where you got to know what was your inspiration, a summary of the book, marketability, readership, what problem are you solving, a book elevator pitch, and a title, and what we call a working title and a subtitle. A working title and a subtitle is just a placeholder for now. You can change it later, but it helps you to have something readily available as a title for your book, so your mind can start filing all this information.
Right, interesting. So, and then I remember going through the Passion Journey program, and I remember going through those 3 circles, and it's a completely different webisode if you want to talk about how to go from being passionate to making money on passion also. And then that's an interesting journey program. And I think, Moustafa, I might invite you again and we can talk about the Passion Journey separately. But once you've identified that sweet spot where you know what you're passionate about, you know what the world needs also. You can be passionate about, as my friend and colleague at Funworks, Farhad, currently says, you may be passionate about 60-inch black and white TVs, but the world is not interested in black and white TV anymore. So once you know what would make money for you, what the world is interested in, and what you're passionate about, and then you figure out a step-by-step process which you've identified, and we'll be sharing the PDF. Now the step 3 is done. We're pretty much done with the excuses. We are done with the why. We are done with a little bit of how also right now. And how do we go on step 4? And what is the step 4 now?
Step 4 is basically to project plan. See, the magic in any project, a book project is a project like everything that requires project planning. So, right. And here's the simple roadmap. I'll give you a 4-step process to do that. 1 is you got to answer the defined questions in the previous steps, which is know why you're writing the book, come up with a topic, and write the book concept sheet. All right. The next thing you got to do is you got to create what's called an outline. An outline is a list of chapters that you want to cover. Yeah. And then a sub outline per chapter, specifying what's in it for the reader, what are the golden nuggets, what are the takeaways, and what are the action steps to take or questions to answer within that chapter. So now you have the top level thinking, the strategic level, then you create an outline and a sub outline per chapter. You'll have like a mind map for the book. All you got to do is take that and plan it over weekends. Commit, say, I'm going to do this on this weekend, or I'm going to do this on one weekend, which means today I wake up at 9, I'm going to do this from this hour to this hour, and I'm going to do this from this hour to this hour. You'll be done. 4th thing, which is where most people fail, is focus. If you focus over a weekend, you can actually finish that part of the work over a weekend, because outlining a book, we already did big part of it now. And if you go into outlining the book, you could spend maximum, if you're focused 100%, 1 day on the outlining and 1 day on the actual speaking or recording, and you're done with all of that.
Before I go to step 5, I know when you focus on something, you have a laser sharp focus. You go till the end. You get frustrated if there is any distractions coming in, defocusing you on it. I've been with you on some of the programs, and even just before this call, we were having some technical glitches, and I could see that distraction because you were getting defocused. But for people like me, many other viewers who suffer from not being able to focus sharply, what are some of your tips that you would share? And that's a genuine human concern. I think you would agree to that. You've mastered it, but how can we master?
I already tackled it for you guys. It's simply a question: were you interested or were you committed? It's that simple. There is no need for complicated systems and tools. If you're interested, you're going to be dealing with it like you're watching a movie. You'll be sitting there on your phone. If you're not on your phone, you're on your mind, you're somewhere else. You're just literally thinking there's a movie playing on screen. If you are committed and you say, anybody that I've heard ever say anything less than an 8 has never even dreamt of finishing a book. I had never finished a book. I've never had a single person continue finishing. Even those who say 10 out of 10, it's a marathon. It takes time, it takes work. So if you don't do it, even with an 8, 9, 10, people are barely finishing. What makes you think anybody less than that is going to finish a book? It has nothing to do with techniques. No need for all of that. What's there is the true passion. And commitment comes from passion. So if you're really passionate about it, you are going to do it right. And you will finish it and you will focus. This has nothing to do with who and what kind of people and advanced and not advanced. You are already somebody who took the energy and effort to put on a show. So if you have enough that passion, going 60% or 70% of the way doesn't make a difference. You might as well just do the 100% because you're not doing yourself a favor. And to anybody who's listening, there's something people don't understand. 1 degree of difference makes a huge difference. So what happens at 99? What happens at 100 that doesn't happen at 99?
That's true. Yeah. The water is extremely hot at 99, but it boils at 100. And then when it boils, it can power locomotives. The steam can do wonders.
So really, this is the discussion. What you're telling me is, well, I'm 99 focused. Well, 60% or 90% or 99 looks close enough, but it's not good enough.
Right. Yeah. So we've identified our whys. We've gone beyond the excuses. We've looked at the bigger picture, and then we've looked at the outline. We've looked at literally getting it done in a weekend. 4 steps done. And if you're not able to focus, I think you go back to the same question. Am I committed or am I just interested? Am I really committed in becoming an authority? If I'm not, then I will not become an authority. All that's done. How do we get it to the world? What's the 5th step?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to also highlight that if you actually record anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, that will give you an average of 30 to 40,000 words, which will add up to about 150, 200 page book. So that's literally how little it is. For anybody who's listening, that's a trainer, that's a coach, that's a speaker, that is nothing. These people, get paid to speak in some way, shape, or form. They spend a lot more time than that. Only 4 to 6 hours of recording, you're done. So just to show how simple it is, and people still don't do it. And even when, we have one of our packages, which is guided author, where we still handhold people throughout the process, even including the recording. And there are ways to do it. Bottom line, do it. Whether you do it by yourself, whether you come to us, we're happy to do that. All right. So the option is, people can do that by themselves, or they can come to us and we can take them through the guided author program. And even more, we have a solution for people where they could come to us and they would be part of a collaborative book, a co-authored book. Now, the cost of that co-authored book is fractional compared, it's maybe close to 20% of what it would cost you to publish your own book. You still get an international author status. You're still published by an international publishing house. You get all the bells and whistles that we give to all our authors. People still talk and don't do the work. And that's the difference between interested and committed. So if anybody's committed, we are committed to make everybody as much as possible, as long as they're deserving, they have the right content to serve the world. We are committed to helping them become international authors.
So shed some light on the co-authored book that you just spoke about. How does that work?
So the co-authored book concept is simple. Is basically when you start, actually my first book was a co-authored book, okay? And a co-authored book means a group of people come into the book together around a same or similar topic. So let's say the book we're working on is called Passionate Experts. So it's about people that are passionate about what they do. We are grabbing one expert per topic, and each of the experts is going to write 1 chapter only.
Okay.
And then we put all of those together and we create 1 book around a similar topic, around what you're passionate about, but everybody's sharing their angle on the topic. So if it is, for example, now we're talking about, it could be around happiness, then every person is going to share their point of view about happiness.
Okay.
If it is about success, my first book with Brian Tracy with Masters of Success, so it's different angles about success, for example. So you see, everybody's got a different point of view on it. So everybody adds their angle and that becomes a collaborative book. That means you only have to write 1 chapter. So that's even like, I don't know, less than an hour worth of work to produce that content. If you know what you're talking about. and you become part of a group of authors that are working on a similar topic. You still get the publicity. We do the editing, we do the design. You get the same full package of think of it as an Uber of books, basically.
That's
it's
interesting.
An Uber rideshare. It's an Uber rideshare for books. So basically, you guys kind of co-author, share a book. So even at that, which is a fraction of the cost, a fraction of the work, people who are interested are just going to say, yeah, maybe, and people who are committed will make things happen. So this is how a collaborative book works. It's a no-brainer for anybody who wants to enter the publishing world with a trial without having to commit to a big project financially or energetically.
Interesting. So and I think when we're done with the show, we will put in a link for people to get in touch, as well as download the PDF document that you just spoke about that gives the complete blueprint very, very clearly. And if I can just take a little bit of a few questions. One thing that people are interested in, or they're asking, well, there's a way we can all come to Passionpreneur Publishing and then do it. But if there are people who want to negotiate with the local publishers, they don't want to go big, they want to do small, they want to negotiate with other publishers, how does that work? Usually the publishers would squeeze everything out of you. And you don't get anything back. And I'm not just talking monetary terms, but I'm also talking in terms of visibility, being there, and so on.
So this takes us to the fifth step, which is talking about the publishing solutions. So now that you have written the book, what are your publishing options and how to go on about them? There are generally two options. There's traditional publishing and there's self-publishing. Okay.
All right.
Let's talk about traditional publishing first. So traditional publishing, on the good side, traditional publishing gives you a little money up front, possibly, or a percentage, a bit of prestige to be published by the typical traditional publishers, and bookstore distribution support. Okay. And this typically works best for established celebrities with big following or full-time writers who write for a living. But on the other side, they are very slow. Number one, it takes anywhere from 3 to 6 months to even hear back from a traditional publisher. And typically the answer is no. And a good publishing deal is very hard to get. And even if you get it, you need a literary agent who takes a cut. And even if they say yes, you lose control of your content. And all you get is about 5 to 10% of the royalties of the book sales, if you're lucky. 10% is if you've got a distribution deal, 3 to 5% is the average kind of a deal.
Okay.
So really, you work hard, create the book, which is your baby, and then you give it to somebody else and release all your rights to them. And you just get a small percentage from what they sell.
Right.
To me, that's like selling your soul to the devil. The other type of publishing is what's called the DIY, do-it-yourself publishing. Okay.
Okay.
Which is shifts the power from traditional publishing to the author hand. You own 100% of your copyrights and decision making. Great if you have a lot of DIY, which is time consuming. Okay. If you're at the beginning of your career, if you are somebody who's still very junior in your career, you have a lot of low value on your time. So really your time is not worth much. You know, if you're successful, more successful you are, your time becomes very expensive. So if you're still very early in the growth stage and you want to save a little bit of money, DIY is the best way. You go in online by yourself, you try to upload to Amazon, somehow you have a book. On the downside, you will waste a lot of time with trial and error. And you will try to recruit members, maybe freelancers, outsourcers, only to find out it will either cost you a lot more or it will end up being half cooked and you still have to finish it yourself. Okay. And you don't have a credible publisher name to it, associated to it. So kind of people will know that this is traditionally published. I mean, it's like getting the IKEA type furniture. It's there, it does the job, but it's still IKEA furniture. There's nothing, it's not degrading. It is what it is. You understand? It doesn't last you long. It doesn't last credible. It looks good when it's new. In no time, it starts looking old.
Right.
So Then if neither of them is good for you, what's the solution is what's called independent publishing, or what's known as hybrid publishing, which offers you the best of both worlds. This is actually what we do, okay? It offers you the credibility and exposure of a traditional publisher mixed with the freedom and the cost efficiency of self-publishing, all together with a package of a turnkey, solution.
All right.
So particularly us as Passionpreneur Publishing, what makes us different is our relationships with the publishing and speaking industry. So we know people in distribution, we know people in speaking bureaus, we know people in different areas, website builders that specialize purely in building websites for speakers, authors, and coaches. We have a short time to market. So within a span of 3 to 6 months, you are already a published author, while someone else is still knocking on the door with a book idea to a traditional publisher hoping to get an answer. We have all-inclusive packages. So which means you really don't have to think about anything. We give you from beginning to end. It's a concierge type of a service. And most important, you keep your 100% control. So really you're getting the best that you can get in both worlds, and some things that you don't get with neither.
Yeah, and as you said, you're not selling your soul to the devil.
Yeah, and then for those who are still insistent on, I want to go to a traditional publisher, well, we're non-exclusive. Yes, you can, I say we're non-exclusive. You can date someone else. So you can basically take the book after we publish it. You own 100% of the copyright. You take it and still pitch it to other publishers. This is a stepping stone towards major publishers on your own term, because when you have a book, negotiating with a book publisher is a much easier job than if you just have an idea for a book.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So we have a very clear 5-step blueprint. You said you would share a link. So if you can just quickly put the link in the
Yes,
chat, and I'll share it for our viewers. And if there are any questions, I will now take a few questions from our viewers. In case if there are any, you were very, very clear. The process was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And even if you don't want to go through all of these steps and you don't want to invest in your own guided author, simply come into a co-authored book. You kind of test it, tiptoe into the market, and then if you feel it's for you, you can then look into investing into a full-on book. Makes sense.
Makes sense. So I'll just we might have if there are any questions, all the people who are watching us, if there are any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I'll ask Moustafa to answer them. In the meanwhile, Moustafa, if you can also give us the link, and we'll share it with you.
I'm pasting it for you in the chat box. You can share it with everybody. Oops, no, not this one. No, not this one. There you go. First one was your link. Here you go. You can delete the first one.
Here we go. We'll have the link. There it is. I'll put it in our chat box for anyone to view it.
And so basically everything that I've explained for you, from the process, the steps, all of this is in the publishing guide, and it even has the actual book concept sheet, the 3 circles to do the book topic. So every question that I've asked you is just there. You guys run through it.
Yeah, so it's not just about Passionpreneur Publishing. If somebody wants to do it themselves, given
everything I've explained to you, the whole system is there.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've given them a free resource. But if people are still interested and they come to Passion Publishing, then it just helps them accelerate the process. And then I've seen a lot of books being published, and I know you keep nudging me and you keep asking me if I'm really committed to doing my book. And I think I've still not hit that 100%, and as you said, 99 doesn't really make a difference. I should be coming very, very soon and then knocking at your door, and I know I have access to speak directly to you also and get some tips. Moustafa, any last words on people who are really passionate, who have authority, and yet the world doesn't know anything about them?
Author equals authority. You have a message and the world is waiting for your book, but you can never win a lottery ticket that you didn't buy. Everybody's sitting there hoping to get lucky, but they don't even buy that lottery ticket. So even if you want to take it as simple as just getting into a co-authored book as an entry point, that's the least you can do if you're genuinely interested in spreading your message out there. But if you're not willing to do that much, write a single chapter. You know, the reason we came up with this was actually because I was getting a lot of inquiries. I mean, originally my first book was a co-authored book, but also I was getting a lot of inquiries from people who are like, I'm not sure either. I don't have the money. I'm not ready. I don't have the energy. I said, you know what, even this is a much simpler solution. So, and by the way, this is a preview. We haven't even officially launched the co-author program. So if somebody's interested, it's going to be, you know, they're going to be top of the list for now. We haven't even opened applications. It's still going to be a few days before we go to market with this solution. We have very limited seats. So really, if somebody's genuinely interested, I'd say, you know, make it committed and jump on, request a call with me, and we can explain to you how you can become an international author in the coming 3 to 6 months.
Great. So can I proudly say that your co-authored program was launched on the buzzwords done by Noman at Funworks? Yeah. Can I say
Hopefully, yes. Well, it'll be officially launched once we get someone from your listeners. So let's see if your listeners are genuinely committed, not interested.
Committed to coming in. That's interesting. I have a question. It's coming in from Maria, and she says, what is the advantage of going global in your opinion? What is the advantage of going international? I think what she means is, can we still stick local or global? What is the advantage of global in
well, first, while I answer, I want you to ask her, please, or if you're listening, please message Noman on what do you actually do? Because, you know, for me to give you a better answer, not a generic answer, I need to know what she does actually. Or does she aspire to be speaker, coach, consultant, or to help people? That's what I want to know. So I will answer while she messages you. But we're back to the discussion about 99 versus 100. It's like saying,
so let me put that, Maria, if you're online and you're watching this, please type in what do you do, and Moustafa can give a very, very customized answer rather than a generic answer.
But maybe I'll text her. You can type maybe if she's not listening in. I hope she's listening in, but if she texted you, maybe we'll see if she's available. But we're back to the discussion about the 99 versus 100. So that's the same question. Should you still stay local is 99 and become international is 100? It's a small degree of difference with worlds apart of variations and difference there, because there are too many local content creators everywhere, but not as many when it becomes international. As many as you might think, as many is not as much. If I'm only published in UAE, then I'm a local author. If I'm published internationally, I'm an international author. And guess what? A local speaker gets paid less than an international speaker, and a local author gets paid a lot less than an international author. So really, that international brand equity is immeasurable. That's if you want to look at it as a business side. On the other side, if you really have a genuine intention to help people, why would you want to help less people? I don't see the logic. If you say, I genuinely want to help the world and I want to help people, but I'm going to stay local, I don't get it. You either want to help the world or you don't want to help the world. If you want to help the world, get off your chair and go and do it. Don't half-ass helping people. I want to be this and I want to help, but I want to stay here. Well, you might as well.
I'm gonna stick to my street. Yeah, why do I go global? So Maria has given us the answer. She says she's a mental health advocate and she's aspiring to be a speaker also. So she's a mental health advocate.
Her name is Maria.
Maria, yes. Maria.
Maria, what are you doing? Mental health specialist at a time when the world needs you the most. We are at a time when everybody is craving mental health. And you are still asking if you should go international. If this situation does not push you to jump off your chair and run to become international, I can assure you and everybody else who's listening, it's never going to happen to you or to anybody else. It's now or never, guys. Really, you're sitting on the edge of the cliff where you can take that leap of faith. The whole world has gone mental, and if there's somebody they need, you know, here's a dose of tough love for you. But, you know, those who know me know I've got nothing but tough love. What are you even asking a question? The question is an indication of what's going inside. And all you should have is being 100% sure that when you are in tune with your passion, you are truly genuine, you truly want to serve, you're not going to be shy, wanting to go global. One of my aspirations that I've put in writing is to deliver an inspirational talk from space.
All
I'm
right.
thinking about going to other planets. You're asking me if you still should go international. So I hope you will join me. So that's my answer.
So the next one, I'm not going to be saying Mustafa joining us from Melbourne, Australia. I might be saying Mustafa joining us from the global space station or probably from the moon.
Hopefully.
Mustafa, I have my colleague Farhad Karamali. He's the CEO of Funworks. He's also a self-published author. He's commenting. He's saying, his first ever book was called A to Z of Success, and it was with a co-author. He's also done a few parables. So one of his very famous parables is called the Karai Theory, and it's about diversity and then team, but it comes through the Karai, and you've been in Dubai, you know what Karai is all about. Farad is asking, how would you rate so are parables better or are theory model-based books better? Like the Who Moved My Cheese versus In Search of Excellence, if I can just closely compare it. So parables versus theory model-based books. What is good?
A very, very, very good question. And the answer is, in definition, quality is fit for use.
Mm-hmm.
So really, that depends on knowing the target audience that you're speaking to. When you know your target audience and when you know who are you speaking to, you will know what kind of a book they like to read or listen to or work through. So my book, Live Passionately, so that first book with Brian Tracy was a co-authored book, light reading, independent chapters. You can finish a chapter, jump from chapter 1 to chapter 20, back to chapter 15, different points of view on a single topic. Live Passionately, my second book, international bestseller, is more of a workbook where you read a bit of inspiration, but you have questions and exercises to fill in the blanks. We've published now, as I said, we have 50 authors in total, and we have all variety of books. In my preference, I like books that give practical value, not books that just discuss concepts. Because books today, the world doesn't need a lot more theories.
Yeah.
Because the theory alone is of no value. They say knowledge is power. I say knowledge is not power. Knowledge is power only when it's used. So if you're going to offer a lot of general knowledge in a book that is not useful directly, you're leaving people with more confusion. People today want specific solutions. So what you do is you make a book start with a bit of inspiration, move into a bit of explanation, and then move into application. So you want to have that part where you inspire people so their energy goes up. Then you move into explaining them, the concepts that you have in mind, but you don't spend the whole book explaining concepts, and then you take them through how to execute those concepts. This is the kind of books I prefer and the kind of books we specialize in publishing.
That's great. So a book which is very, very clear, precise, to the point. It can be a parable, it can be a framework, it can be a workbook, something which has a strong message that the world
can have a mix of all. That's what I'm saying. You can have a parable to explain the concept, but then take it into a framework to talk about execution.
Right. Yeah. And then there are many examples. The 1 Minute Manager, which is the most famous one that Dan Blanchard and John Spencer did together, later converted into so many things. Great, Mustafa. Thank you very much for this time. I have pasted the link on our YouTube. We would be sharing more details with our viewers later on. And thank you for joining us. I know it is very, very late in Australia right now. I hope you're keeping safe and healthy and you are under a lockdown, and probably working on your third or the fourth book, as well as helping many other authors.
We have, as I said, we have total of 50 authors, 30 of them already done, and 20 are in the pipeline in the writing journey or in the publishing journey. Plus, we do regular author coaching groups. So we do webinars regularly. So at this phase, we're doing even twice a week. So, whether it's books directly or helping those with books to monetize their books or expand their leverage, we are building a group of passionate entrepreneurs, which we call passionpreneurs. Those are entrepreneurs of passion and purpose who are on a mission to change the world and have fun while doing it. And this is all happening under the umbrella of Passionpreneur Publishing. So thank you very much for hosting me here, and hope you and all the listeners will join us in becoming Passionpreneur authors.
Thank you very much, Mustafa. And as you said, having fun in the process. So it's all about fun working and being passionpreneurs. Thank you, Mustafa, for your time. And thank you everyone who's joined us. Do subscribe to our channel, press that bell icon. So next time we're going live with somebody as interesting as Mustafa, sharing many other ideas, you get a notification right away. Thank you very much for joining this.